Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa, and that is Marie, aka Bama. She is a nutrition coach and fitness trainer, and I am a holistic chef and nutrition coach. And we both met a while back, while back, because we're old now. No, we're not. We're young. And we met at Johnson & Wales University in Miami, and 10 years or I don't know how many years went by, and we found ourselves really focused on nutrition and cooking. And here we are back together, and we are doing the Fuel the System podcast. And we are so excited that you guys are joining, especially today, because we are doing a topic that is just insane to us, and Bama cannot wait to just jump in. So let's start up and get it going. Kids today are more anxious, more inflamed, more addicted to food than ever before. And no one is talking about the why. And the truth is, it starts before they're even born. This episode is not about blame, it's about awareness. Because once you listen to this, you can't unhear it. We've worked with families, and what I keep seeing over and over again is that we are raising a generation that was never actually taught how to eat. Let's start with the reality of what kids are up against. Food companies are not just making food, they are engineering behavior. Bright packaging, cartoon characters, colors, mascots. This is all designed to grab attention early. Then you have the formulation, sugar, salt, and fat in combinations that create dopamine hits in the brain. Bliss point, as Bama has mentioned previous episodes, kids aren't addicted to food. They're addicted to what food companies designed. So furthermore, Bama, take it away.
Yeah, so companies with their marketing, they're really targeting the underdeveloped brains of kids. Kids, they're not fully developed, so they don't have the ability to question or resist advertising. So it's tied to cognitive development research, a lot of cognitive psychology. So basically, children around the age of 8 or under, they can't distinguish ads from entertainment. So they see ads, they might see a Fruit Loop ad or a Cocoa Puffs ad. And for them, it's just entertainment. The colors, the characters, is all just grabbing their attention. So basically, they're taking this messaging from these ads, and instead of taking it as persuasion, like adults do, persuade you to buy the product, they're just looking at it as truth. So that bird, is it a bird for Fruit Loops? Toucan or something like that? I don't know. But anyways, it's basically telling kids you should eat Fruit Loops, and they're like, yeah, that's true. I should eat Fruit Loops, because they don't know. So their kids are driven more by emotion and the fun of it and the reward behind it. If it looks fun, basically they want it. A lot of companies will do this with packaging. They will put in stores foods at eye level for kids. That way, kids, they see it, grabs their attention, and they'll do playful fonts, stuff that is fun to kids. They'll put games on there or puzzles on there. It's an activity that the kid can do. So it's not just the food that they want, but also they want to play the game with it. They just want to have fun. They're kids. They don't know. So this is called pester power. It's literally a concept that originated in the 70s or 80s, where basically marketing influences the kid through these fun characters, fun colors, fun fonts, games, puzzles, so that the kids start begging the parents for whatever the product is. And they just recognize it as something that's fun, maybe something that they love. And so they're begging their parents for it. For example, like for me, I grew up loving Rugrats and I grew up loving SpongeBob. So if I saw something that was Rugrats or SpongeBob, I wanted it, not even because of the product, but because I loved those shows. So I wanted those things. Kids nowadays, exact same thing. They're really getting people with packaging, but also with entertainment. So obviously social media is a big thing. Kids are on social media, TikTok. They watch YouTube videos. There's a lot of YouTube channels for kids, and they'll put ads before, in the middle, or even after videos, and it grabs the kids' attention, and now they want these things. And kids might not understand why they want these things. They just saw these things, and they're like, yes, I want it. So they put these product placements perfectly in these videos to see. And then also looking at stuff, I know you're going to talk about this in a little bit, but McDonald's, that's a good example. They use Happy Meals. So they are getting the reward system of the kids, where it's you get this Happy Meal and it comes in this cool box and you get this toy. And then the toy based on the kid's favorite movie or TV show or something like that. And they'll do stuff limited edition toys. So it's, I have to keep getting this Happy Meal because I have to collect all the toys. They do collect them all type of campaign where it's, oh, we have 7 different toys, try to collect them all. And all it's doing is getting kids to want these Happy Meals more. And parents are just like, okay, let's do it. We're rewarding the kid basically.
You're absolutely right, 'cause I you just brought me back to when I was thinking when I was younger and I would get the McDonald's Happy Meal kit. For a while, they had, I think even Disney cups.
So I think like Shrek was
Yes.
huge.
Yes, absolutely. To piggyback off what you're saying, I actually found some evidence from a study saying that by age 2 to 3, kids can actually recognize major fast food logos. 2 to 3 years old. So by age 6, children can recall specific brands tied to the reward and the toys. Studies show kids prefer to taste of the food with the branded packaging than the same identical food with a different packaging. What does that tell you?
Literally targeting children.
100%. We can talk about is the exposure to the ads. I do have some studies that I have for this too, Bama, and if you want to chime in after, you're more than welcome to. I have one that said that children still see 1,000 plus food ads per year, even after reductions in TV advertising. So there was a study in 2024, August, trends in children exposure to food and beverage advertising on television. On average, kids see 13 food ads per day, and 90% are unhealthy. 90%. Not 10, not 20. Think about this 90%. With that being said, there's also another article I found that says 4% of the ads viewed by children promote foods high in sugar, fat, and sodium, which brings me to what Bama has previously said episode and what we said in our intro is that the bliss is real. But it is real. So go ahead, take it away if you'd like.
Talking about ads, the first thing that came to mind was the Oscar Mayer theme song or whatever, the commercial. It's literally a kid singing My Baloney has a first name. It's OSCR. Like the Oscar Mayer is a terrible hot dog. I don't like hot dogs are disgusting, first of all, but not like blue cheese, but hot dogs are disgusting.
Another food.
It's literally a kid singing the song, which makes it fun. And then also think about the branding. Remember when I think it was when Shrek was big and they had the green ketchup and it's
I remember that.
like it made you want to eat stuff hot dogs and anything that you would dip ketchup in just because you were having green ketchup. Disgusting.
I remember that. The fact that I can remember it is a little scary. But it works. See how it works. I'm 32 years old.
Yep. Even now as an adult,
Yeah.
we'll watch like the games and try to play along sometimes. Name that logo and it'll be a logo without the name of the company. And we can name the fast food companies so easily because we're kids and it's just burned into our brains.
Yeah. I feel fast food was definitely a huge part of us growing up. I mean, it was definitely more prominent, think for sure in our age. That's why
Well,
we're all dealing with our illnesses from all the big meats we
yeah.
ate.
Well, think about obviously Happy Meals were a huge thing when we were kids. They're still a big thing now with the collect all the toys and limited edition toys. But also, it's not as big nowadays, I don't think, as it was. But the playgrounds in the fast food restaurants was so big when we were kids. So we wanted to go to those restaurants because we wanted to be able to also eat and then play. We would eat, get our Happy Meal, collect our toys, and then go play in those little playgrounds.
And yeah, someone did try to kick me in my
Kidding.
nads that I don't have. If you're also wondering.
Dave and Buster's, I mean, it's kind of more of a family thing, but it's kids. Kids want to go play the arcade games. But it also kind of targets adults too because they have a bar there where you can get alcohol to keep the adults there longer and the kids are happy to keep playing games.
Well, they did that in Chuck E. Cheese too. You were allowed 2 drinks, I believe, beer and wine. And the worst part is, I think you could use, what is it called? Food stamps or something? You were allowed to use them at Chuck E. Cheese.
That's crazy.
That's not an exaggeration. But yeah, there it was. Don't quote me on it being food stamps, but I know it was a governmental assistance in food, and they were allowed to use it at Chuck E. Cheese, 100%.
That's
'Cause
that's
I
it.
had to ask the question, and they were like, Yep, yep." And the worst part is, Bama, they're not even targeting just through TV. They're targeting through computers and tablets, right? So one of my favorite statistics I found was that 90% of child directed websites contained trackers and ads personalized to the children. In other words, guys, your kids are being tracked and targeted just like adults. That is sickening. Sickening. They're children. Let's go to what's being marketed and the quality of the food, right? Over 80% of food advertising promotes fast food, sugary drinks, candy snacks. Studies consistently show foods marketed to kids are higher in sugar and fat and don't meet the nutritional guidelines. So, food advertising and marketing directed at children and adolescents in the U.S. National Library of Medicine. This is my favorite place to get all my info because you can't go wrong with those people that just want to look it up. Public environment studies also show that 82% of ads in child viewed spaces are just junk food. Yum. Love that for me. So they're not making food, they're making ultra processed food products enjoyable. See how angry I'm starting to get? I love this.
Yeah, it's
There is
starting to
just
spiral.
I have to read this because this is gonna be verbatim. So this is not plagiarism. I'm gonna cite it, whatever. It's a little lengthy, but I need to read it. So it says food advertising directly affects children's behavior and is linked to obesity, a casual relationship. In this study, they found unhealthy food advertising and a persuasive adverse influence on children's food behaviors, including choice, preference, and food intake. Food marketers use a range of themes, techniques, and appeals in advertising content to ensure it is engaging and persuasive, offering often tailoring these to attract youth audience. The growth of digital media has amplified food advertising exposure and engagement for children who readily recall the specific features of commercial content they have seen online. Recent psychological models incorporate digital features and consider the pathways of effect, including psychological, social, cultural, and behavioral factors between food advertising, exposures, and changes in body weight. It appears, this is their result, it appears increasingly likely based on the latest neuroimaging data that the demonstrated impacts of food advertising on diet results from emotionally driven behavior responding. So everything Bama just went over in our first part is facts.
It's
Let me lay it down
literally
for them.
taking, like, the way that food companies make, like, the bliss point to make their food addictive. It's like advertising has found out their own bliss point formula to make people buy their food.
It's disturbing. And I have to tell you, I didn't know anything about the bliss point until you pointed it out.
You're welcome.
So, and that tells you a lot. And I'm pretty well versed in staying healthy. Let's move on. What would you like to go on to next? Maybe our school systems and their
The school
failures?
system, I have some stuff about the school system written down, so that'll be fun too.
No. Now, let's talk about the system that's supposed to support kids. We teach algebra, we teach history, but we don't teach nutrition. Shocker. And then we feed them cafeteria food that is often highly processed and lacking nutrients. We're educating minds while neglecting bodies. Let's go into it, Bama. You want to start us off? I know you got a lot to
Yeah.
say.
So school systems, the biggest problem with school systems is that they're underfunded, especially when it comes to food. So they're more worried about budgeting over the quality of food. They're really dependent on large companies, Tyson Foods, think Tyson chicken nuggets, General Mills, so cereals and stuff like that. And then Kraft Heinz makes so much stuff, mac and cheese, for example. They really dominate the school supply food chain because mainly they have a long shelf life. They're cheap. They're highly palatable. Talking about that bliss point again. And they meet the underline minimum nutrition standards that the USDA allows you to have. Basically, school systems technically meet the guidelines, but let me explain really what that means. So this makes me so mad. Okay. So school meals will follow USDA guidelines, but there are a lot of loopholes. So this one, I'm going to say this and then just see how you react to it. Pizza count as a vegetables because of tomato paste.
You gotta be kidding me. Nah, nah.
Yep.
Tomato paste.
Flavored milk
What is this?
flavored milk is allowed because dairy is good for kids because they get a lot of calcium since they're still growing, still developing, their bones are not fully developed. Dairy is pretty important for kids, so flavored milk is allowed, which is basically literally just added sugar. Your chocolate milk, your strawberry milk, which I never liked, but that's okay. It was really popular for us growing up.
No.
Basically, highly processed foods are still qualifying if nutrients are added back in. So what's happening is they're stripping nutrients of the food. They add the synthetic nutrients back in so they're able to call it balanced. That is insane. Insane.
It's very insane.
Pizza is a vegetable because it has tomato paste. No.
I've never in my life have even thought about that being a sole vegetable. Just have some tomato paste on your
It's a
oh my god.
loophole that
And that's
that the USDA
yeah.
allows.
Don't even get me started on the FDA, that's later. But
USDA and FDA. Ugh.
yeah, interestingly enough, like when I was looking up the school systems and deep diving into that and going down our rabbit hole that we love to go down to, I found that they partner with a lot of those big brands, Nestle, and I think there's Mars Bar, whatever it's called, which is in charge of like we're going to talk about it later, but they get incentives, and then that's why they put them in the school system, including the vending machines. Just pretty sad.
Yeah.
Pretty sad. So when you're talking about the food system and that's in the school, right? They're not getting really a balanced meal at all, is essentially what you're saying, because tomato paste is just a vegetable. And what would a balanced plate look like for kids is we would need protein for the growth and stability, the healthy fats for the brain development, fiber and carbohydrates for energy and digestion. So an example of what maybe me and you would think of a balanced plate would be like chicken or eggs, sweet potato or rice, vegetables like broccoli or carrots, and olive oil or like avocado, something like that. That would be a nice balance for blood sugar and actual balanced behavior, because when you start eating erratically with sugars, especially in kids, their behavior is not the same. It's just not. So that's something I think people should know about for when they have their kid eating a food system that is not correct. It's just not a good way of eating.
I think for us, like for adults, food sensitivities are more how the food affects you, like your gut, your joint health, and all that stuff. For kids, it affects them in more of a psychological way. And food companies, unfortunately, are so smart that they're able to really hone in on that with kids. And that's why red dye 40 is in a lot of kids' foods. It's in a lot of fruit juices, and red dye 40, like, especially if a kid has like ADHD, is so bad for them. But it kind of makes like even a kid without ADHD like kind of crazy, extremely hyper because it affects them in such a psychological way.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are a ton of kids with ADHD as it is already, because they've already been affected in some way by eating poorly, or maybe even being passed down through the foods, whatever through the pregnancy and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy. We're going to dive into later. But interestingly enough, the reason they can do all this stuff with our foods and make it for with these kids having all these hyper issues and even autism, right? It's because of the FDA, but also because they're self-regulating, right? So what a lot of people don't realize is that these companies like Nestle and Mars Bar, whatever else you can think of, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, a lot of them are self-regulating, meaning they're on the board. Someone there is on the board where they are allowed to be like, you can put this in and it'll pass. People don't know that. What do you think about that?
Companies like Coca-Cola is a big funder, I guess is the right word. I don't know. Maybe we'll find a different word for like type 2 diabetes and like trying to find like cures and stuff, like cures for that. Like Coca-Cola is a big company for that. Coca-Cola is part of the reason that people have type 2 diabetes.
Right. Right. And there's some deep like conspiracies around the fact that, which is not really conspiracy, but it's conspiracy for most, that they were paying scientists off to speak on their behalf, that it wasn't their product that was causing the disease. It was the person not being able to control themselves that was causing obesity and diabetes. And there is theory around that.
That makes me so crazy for you to say that because, again, then we go back to Bliss Point. which is what companies do. Oh, that makes me
Yeah. And depending on how you feel, if you want to take politics aside, because I really don't want to bring too much politics into this, but you take politics aside, you look up RFK Jr. and I mean, I'm going to add a little politics in because he ran with a very conservative right Republican, and he ran because he was like, I really need to help with the food system. If you look at him himself, he's been through the ringer with tapeworm eating his brain. So that's why he has a lot of those issues. I don't care about politics, but I do care that he's literally the only one that has ever stepped in to try to call all these big lobbyist food companies out. And I think that's something to commend him on because there are things that are being good and being pushed forward now that should have been, including putting additives in our foods and him stepping in and saying stuff like that. So, politics aside, I did want to throw that in there because the reason we have all this and the ability to speak like we do today, I really do feel he opened that door for that for this year. I do, whatever. But I did want to bring that in there because that is important.
yes.
Sorry.
I like
But
it. I
okay.
like it.
So I like it too. I like it. That no, I'll cut that out. All right.
No, don't cut it out.
I think we covered schools. We covered school systems. We covered what a balanced meal should look like. Now, what about parent behavior patterns? I think this is a really big topic, and I know Bama is going to love this one. And I'm going to just open it up for her. I always do. Like, I feel like I just open the gate for her, and then she just
Yeah,
floods
no.
in.
I think this is a good topic because I texted one of my friends from the gym, Shari. I texted her literally an hour before we came on to record this episode. And so her daughter, Macy, who's 9 or 10, somewhere in that age range, I don't know exactly. Macy is her daughter's name. So Macy is, first off, she's this perfect child. I don't want kids, but Macy makes me want kids because she's so great. But she doesn't care to eat junk food. She's never had a soda. She would rather eat healthy foods. And so I texted Shari and I was, if you don't mind me asking, how did you teach this to her? What kind of things does she eat? Like, what do you like? How did you do this? And so the first thing that she said to me was, I'm so excited that y'all are doing this episode because no one teaches parents how to properly fuel their child, basically. So her daughter, she said, has never had a soda. And that's kind of by choice. So they really taught her how to read food labels or to at least have some sort of understanding on food labels. And so she said that Macy literally told her that she looked at the back of, I think it was a Sprite or some sort of soda can. It was like, oh my gosh, this has 40 grams of sugar. I would rather just eat a Reese cup for 40 grams of sugar, which I don't even think a Reese cup has as much sugar in it as a soda. And she would rather eat, if she's going to eat chips, she would rather eat a brand that has minimal ingredients. Because we're not expecting a kid to eat perfect chicken and broccoli and sweet potato. If you want to be realistic, they are kids. You do want to kind of give them what they want. So she said Macy doesn't really like fruits and vegetables that much. So she doesn't force her to eat fruits and vegetables. So she'll eat stuff. They make their own trail mix. They use avocado oils and things. And she'll eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but it's sprouted whole grain bread. Like they try to go with the healthier options using natural peanut butter, stuff that. And even that goes to kids playing sports, because that's a big thing is, I don't know about in New York, but here, baseball tournaments and softball tournaments, they're such a big thing. So if a kid is playing travel ball, it's every single weekend is a new tournament. First of all, why are there so many tournaments? But the tournaments last all day. They might have to get there at 8 or 9 in the morning and they're playing until 5, 6 p.m. It's literally an all day thing. And kids are eating, I don't know, nerd clusters and gummy bears and Sour Patch Kids and all this crap food. And there's definitely good foods that you can eat and you can teach your kids. I know it might seem crazy to teach your kid about nutrition labels, but it worked for Shari because Macy is this amazing kid who doesn't eat crap food because she just doesn't want it and they don't keep it in the house. That's a big thing. Parents are in control of what you buy at the grocery store. Your kid doesn't control you, you control them. You are teaching them. You are the example for them. So they're watching the way that you eat, you're buying the food, you can control it. That's a big thing, I think. And we can maybe, if you have anything to add, or we can just get into what are healthy snacks? What can we swap these unhealthy foods for healthy foods? How can we do that?
Well, I can actually add a couple things because I was that kid who was I was a travel I played travel ball, I played, town ball, and I played for varsity. So I played 3 different teams and I for softball. So I actually was supposed to play for St. John, but I never did. But it was crazy, and you're gone for 3 days. You're gone for the weekend. You play 3 games in 1 day, and then if you win, you play another game. So it's kinda just playing a and you're burning all these calories, you're not getting the electrolytes you need, and you're going to McDonald's, or you're having a concession hot dog, or you're having a sandwich that you got from Subway or whatever deli you've got. You're not eating fueling food, and I imagine now that I think about it, because you have me thinking about it, had I have had maybe, I don't know, a nice grilled chicken wrap, something that was still flavorful that I could just eat, maybe it would have been a little bit different fuel wise because I was always a little bit chunky kid, but I was so active, and I was always like, why can't I lose the weight? But even with schools, and I think I've mentioned this before, that when we would, after a softball game, we would go on the bus and the bus would be like, hey, where are we going? We're going to McDonald's. We would go and we'd sit and eat McDonald's, right? That's what we would did on the way home. And it was every time. It was never anything different. It was McDonald's. So I can add to that. So I completely agree with you. I think kids need one really strong, good electrolytes. And it could be as simple as drinking like an orange juice, in the middle of the day. Orange juice, some cranberry juice mix, something like that, or coconut water, or you know what I mean? There's a lot of electrolyte brands out there now too. So that's something that should be definitely spoken about, especially for girls growing up, going through their periods and stuff like that. I mean, not to go detail, but that would definitely help if a girl's on her period and she's playing 3 games and she's playing I mean, you gotta replenish. You know?
That's
It's
right.
just things that cross my mind. So, it's true. And then I wanna go based off of, what you said, and I have my little nephew, he's, 2 years old, and my stepsister-in-law, Allie, she's a phenomenal mom. She doesn't give herself enough credit, and she also has another little baby, Rhea. She's not even a year yet, but I mean, Roman, my nephew, he eats blueberries and strawberries. This kid doesn't really even eat sugar ever. She's given him sweet potatoes and he'll be, "Oh, I want meat. Can I have a meat stick?" She's giving him like little jerky sticks and it's so cute because it's like it's not I want ice cream. He doesn't ask for ice cream. I don't even know if he knows what ice cream is. Maybe he does now a little bit, but I do want to say the way you can raise your kids the way you want and it doesn't make you a crunchy mom, it makes you a good healthy mom, so I did want to piggyback off with that because my nephew's a friggin' tank. The kid is just muscular, he's pure muscle, and his attention span is amazing, his intelligence is kind of crazy. Like and I'm not just saying that because he's my nephew, that's really biased. But it's just like he's at a different level in his brain because he's not hyped up on all this processed food, and and it's something I see so clearly that I have to just say that. He's very intelligent he's already talking, he's in full sentences. It just makes no sense to me. The kid is eh, above his level. So I just wanted to say that I do truly believe what you feed your kids at a young age is definitely going to affect them and how focused they can be, what they can remember, their memory, everything. So kudos to those moms out there. You're not wrong, you're not weird, you're not crunchy. In fact, you're just really good at what you're doing. So I have to throw that out there. Shout out.
As far as snacks and like even going back to fueling for like baseball tournaments, for example, you could do grilled chicken strips if you want. Are they going to be cold? Yeah, but if it's hot outside and you're playing, you might want the cold food. You can do deli meat. And when I say deli meat, I'm not talking about Oscar Mayer ham or whatever. I don't even know if they make ham, but I'm talking about go to the actual deli section and get the fresh deli meat. And that'll help with the protein. You can do beef jerky, whether you make your own beef jerky or find like a healthier beef jerky that has minimal ingredients. That's easy, quick ways to get protein. Of course, fruits and vegetables. Baby carrots are a great one. Hummus. You can put it with hummus if you don't want to just eat baby carrots by themselves. Hummus is you get a little bit of protein and a healthy fat, and plus it's just delicious. You could do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or peanut butter and honey sandwiches or stuff like that. There's a lot of different healthy snacks that you can do. And instead of Gatorades to sports drinks to help you hydrate, you can do water. Something that I do is I have the Redmond real salt, and I'll put it in my water
Love
with a
them.
little bit of lemon juice. And that is how I get my salt to help replenish me and work for a kid too. It's not a lot of salt, just a little pinch of salt, and that's it. Himalayan salt is also a really good natural thing. You mentioned coconut water. That's another good one. But stuff that instead of nerd clusters and cereals and you know, there's so much better things that you could eat easily.
Let me just chime in because I got one good one, which is actually not that hard, which I didn't realize wasn't that hard until I got a dehydrator. But you don't need a dehydrator to do this either. You can set your oven at 200 or I believe it is, or 225, and you can just puree fruit. So any fruit that you think's about to like go bad or something, you could puree it with vanilla, a little bit of cinnamon. You can just mix the fruits together, puree it up, and then you just spread it right onto a non-stick paper or whatever you may have. Sometimes they have those baking sheets or whatever. You put them on, and then you just put it in the oven at 200 or 225, and you just let it dehydrate. Then what you do is you get scissors and you just cut them and make fruit roll-ups. I mean, I wish that was around
Yes.
when I was a kid because that's uh, yeah. And the thing is you can go to the store and buy a little pack of those for like $10 to $15, or you can just go buy some apples and some bananas or whatever. It works with anything that is very low cost, and you just do it yourself, and then you have a whole bunch, so it's something you could put in a bulk size, and then they last. They're dehydrated, so they'll last a long time. You could put them in the fridge or whatever. That's a cool, snack to do. And then I think I have you said jerky already, because that would have been my other go-to kinda thing. You could do the same thing with jerky. And then sweet potato chips. Those are a better choice if you can opt onto that. And even if you can find organic popcorn for kids, it's a good snack. You don't like it I said, you can't be perfect. You're not there's it's called the 80/20. You can't be 100%. You can do 80/20, and it's okay as long as you find, like, an organic brand of popcorn or something that is a clean version of what you can find. Just sea salt and popcorn. They make bags like that. So,
I think
what do you
too,
think? You have anything
like just
to go
yeah, just to go back to a little bit of marketing that like I can kind of add into the previous section. We talk about it now too is health halos, I guess, for parents to know about is a lot of food companies will put natural or whole grain or vitamin fortified to make it seem healthy so that they think that they're buying these healthy ingredients or these healthy foods for their kids and they're not. The same thing with adults. Just to give them whole food is going to be the best. Like, not whole foods all the time. You said they do make like organic go-go squeeze with added vegetables in there, but it just tastes applesauce. You don't taste the vegetables, but they're still getting those vitamins and minerals. You can do stuff like that. You can make them a fruit smoothie with water or even almond milk or coconut water and make them a healthy smoothie, but they're still getting the vitamins and minerals from the fruit, but they feel like they're getting a treat. There are ways that you can make them eat healthy where they will still enjoy it. So I do going back to teaching kids about food labels, parents learning about food labels, obviously you should do that and know what to avoid. Watch our last episode where we talked about this stuff. Just knowing what to avoid because they try to make it look so great on the front of the label and the back of the label is the secret ingredients, but they're not secret, but no one looks at them. So just kind of learning that controlling your environment. Don't buy the foods. Don't keep them at home. If they're at home, you're going to eat them. Your kids are going to eat them. Just don't buy it. Don't keep it in your house.
That's
And
true.
then also framing food as fuel versus reward. So if a kid is good at school, don't reward them with ice cream. Just tell them good job, give them a pat on the back. Let them be tough. People and kids, I don't mean this in any bad way. People and kids these days are so soft. And I say that because when I would get in trouble as a kid, I would get spanked and it was normal. And I was like, I don't want to get spanked again, so I'm not going to do it again. Now, if you spank a kid, it's like a whole thing, like you're abusing your kid and you're not, you're just disciplining
Mhm.
them. And I'm not saying that you should spank your kids, but like discipline how you want, but don't reward them with food because now you're causing bad habits because now you're going to make something like ice cream after you were so good at school seem like a reward and it's going to make them happy. So now anytime they're happy, they're going to think I should have some ice cream or anytime they do something that they feel is good, they're gonna want ice cream, like, because now you've taught them that that's a reward. You've taught them that ice cream is a good thing. Ice cream is happiness. Ice cream is when you succeed at something, you should get ice cream. And now you've taught them this bad habit that they'll probably have their whole life.
Well, can I chime in on that if you don't mind? Yeah. Yeah, so as I think as a kid that went through the whole reward system, I mean, even when you're in public school, that's like they do, they reward you with a pizza party if you have good grades, or if you get good grades on a report card, they give you food. And I think as I grew up, like that caused a lot of issues with my emotional eating. I would overeat to like myself feel better, because that's what you're teaching these kids. You're teaching kids that when you do something right, you should reward yourself with a bunch of junk food, or just, it's not, because it's not really good food. Usually you're rewarding with junk food. And what they're finding in these, and this is the rabbit hole I went down for this, was one of the, I think it was a Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics or something like that. They showed that reward feeding is linked to emotional eating, overeating later in life, and then poor self regulation around food. So now you have these kids growing up and they're having these, challenges with their body weight and how they're feeling, and they're developing these eating disorders. And this is a very sensitive subject, so I don't want to like go crazy or anything into it, but it, not to me but to others, but it's a little bit difficult for people to I guess have a good relationship with food. And I think that's where this reward system, I just don't get on. I'm not on board with it. I don't think it's something that should be done. I think you should reward your kid with, I don't know, maybe going to a concert, or see a musician they like, or go and do something like take them to, if they love books, take them to the library, or buy them a Barnes and Noble book. Do activities, go hiking together. You don't, not everything has to revolve around food. And as an Italian American, everything around revolved around food as I grew up. And it was like celebrating everything with food, communion, whatever it may be. Not that I really cared for that, but I'll leave that in there. I don't even care. But it's just like, it's just birthdays, food, like it's just too much. It's overbearing. And I think we need to, as a society, hone it in, as parents, hone it in and be like, you know what? Let's change this cycle and start rewarding with activities, and also promote good behavior from that. It's almost like when you give a dog a treat and they do something because they do something right, and then they expect that treat every single time. Well, what if you don't have that treat? And then they do something, and then they're like, "Oh, this girl ain't giving me anything. Now I'm just gonna act out," because that's what dogs do. They have one simple-minded brain, right? So not that we're dogs, but it's just a good example. We need I know, I'll reel it in, but we need to be self-aware of what we're doing to our children, and also, that's it. That's all I got for that.
Yeah, it's the same thing for, like, don't use food as, like, an entertainment piece either. Like, you want your food to, like, be quiet and behave while you have this, like, I don't know, meeting, this work meeting that's gonna last 20 minutes, and you give them food just to keep them quiet and keep them busy. Again, give them an activity to do. Give them something fun that they could do, not giving them food just so they'll be quiet and keep themselves busy, because that's gonna kinda the same thing. It leads to those bad habits and bad behaviors, and
And the bliss point.
that's right.
It does, because you're training their brain when they eat sugar, you're training their brain to crave it. So that's a bliss point effect. I think we just came up with the bliss point effect. I like that. Sorry.
I like it. No. What's up? What else? What else are we talking about?
Okay. I mean, I want to jump into this pregnancy and the baby gut development. I really feel like a lot of moms are going to appreciate this.
I think so.
Okay. Because I feel like they're underappreciated moms, crunchy moms, you out there. Like, wait, I'm taken already. No, I'm just kidding.
Who's back there? Who are you pointing?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me get a piece of water. All right.
I think we need to keep all this in there.
I think we should, honestly. I think people love it. They love the corniness of me, and they love the amazingness of you. So it all works. Anyway, so let's talk about pregnancy and baby development.